Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Herskowitz. I'm the artistic and executive director of the Ashland Independent Film Festival. And I'm thrilled that we have here both the director of the film you just saw, Bill Gallagher, and the subject of the film, Guor. The film was just a knockout. Very eager to talk with you about it. And let's just start about, this, Bill, is your first feature film as a director. You've been a line producer. You've been involved in other documentary films. So I just want to know about the origins of this project, how you found out about Guor and connected with him in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Richard. Yeah. So I was just reading a story online, and I had read about this man, Guor, who had qualified for the Olympics, but he turned down the offer from the country that had oppressed him. And I said, man, I need to talk to this guy. This is, most people would give their kidney to run in the Olympics. And so I spoke with Guor, and he was just as charming over the phone as he is on screen. And he invited me to go back to his home country of South Sudan and visit his mom and dad for the first time in 20 years. He hadn't been back in 20 years. And I just thought it was one of the best stories I'd ever heard, actually. It was a good opportunity to show a part of the Olympics that you usually don't see, somebody that wasn't a gold medalist. I thought it was a real opportunity to learn something about South Sudan, the world's newest country. And I really wanted Western audience, especially American audiences, to sort of sit with a refugee and a refugee story for an hour and a half. And ultimately, most importantly, I wanted to sort of give people hope, the hope that I felt when I heard and experienced Guor's story, that hope that in one of the last lines in the film of, you essentially have two choices when horrible things, traumatic things happen to you. You can choose to let it consume you or use it to let it propel you to something positive. And, I wanted to share that with audiences. I thought it was a story worth telling.
So tell us about how you first approached Guor, and what stage was he at in his journey?
It was right before the 2012 Olympics. It was Guor, days before the 2012 Olympics. And you weren't sure at that point if you were going to be able to run because you had said no to the country of Sudan. But I had talked, I knew he went to Iowa State College, and I knew he went to where he went to high school. So I called both athletic directors, and they gave me Guor's phone number, and that's how I got in touch with him. And we decided we'll meet up at the Olympics. Uh-huh. So the first time I ever met Guor was at the 2012 Olympics, a couple of days before the marathon.
So Guor, tell us from your perspective, when Bill first approached you, what you were thinking this might become.
I had no clue, to be honest. Back then I didn't know Bill, and I was connecting with Bill through, as he said, he reached out to my former school, high school and college, and he got my contact information there. And he also reached out to my agent back then. He was a person who was helping me. His name is Brad Poor. And Brad Poor connected me to him, to Bill, and he came into the equation and said, "Hey, there is this guy here. Mm-hmm. He's a documentary guy, and he wants to do a documentary about you." It's kind of like, no, that's another media. So yeah. I don't know if I want to do that. I have no clue about the documentary. But he said, "Well, you never know. It can help. It can help with all of this situation." And he's very willing to do everything he can to document all of this story. It's a great story, and you should be able to. It's going to help a lot of people, not just the South Sudan. And I think Bill, I don't know the guy really well, but I read about him, and he has good credential. so he could be a good person. So when we went to 2012 Olympics, that's when here is a Bill. He sent me a small camera and to follow myself, and I was terrible at it. So every time, sometimes I forget the camera, and Brad would ask me, "Hey, did you document today?" I said, "What? This is annoying. I'm not used to this. I just don't know if it's going to work." But when I went and met Bill, we just clicked right away, and I knew right away this guy. Even though I don't know anything about documentary, I think this guy is gonna do great thing, and he's gonna make this story as meaningful to the world instead of just South Sudan. And so from there we start working, and that was it. The rest of it was a history.
8 years ago now.
Well, I'd like to hear just some of the stories about production. You did quite a bit of traveling with the film, Boston, New Hampshire, and especially South Sudan. Can you tell us anything about that adventure?
Yeah, it was quite an adventure. I mean, at first I thought, this is my first time directing. I had no funding. I thought it was going to be a short film. I thought we're going to go up to 2012 Olympics in London and go to South Sudan, and it's going to be a nice, 20-minute documentary and a good way to get my feet wet with directing. But quickly I learned that, after the 2012 Olympics, that the story for Guor obviously wasn't over. We had to keep, filming to see if he could raise the flag of South Sudan at the Olympics. And we ended up, I think, 8 countries, 5 continents, no money. It was bananas. It was completely on a shoestring budget. I would mostly try to hire film cinematographers in country to save money. Just a lot of interesting stories from Australia, being with Guor in the ambulance in Australia to, running through, the Olympic stadiums in Rio. It's been a wild worldwide journey.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a Kickstarter campaign that was maybe $26,000, and that had to have been a drop in the bucket, or a lot of effort on top of that.
Yeah, the Kickstarter got us started, got us to, London. And then after that, it was just basically credit cards. No one wanted to take a chance on a first-time filmmaker. I didn't have anything real to show at that point for, directing chops. And so it ended up, I just kept thinking, I'm going to get funded next month. I'm going to get funded next month. And then, 6 years of production later, it was just credit cards, and probably not the best way to do it, to make a film, but at the end of the day, it's finished, and at least we have that. So,
Guor, any particular memories about these various expeditions? Maybe especially how you managed to do the filming in South Sudan and pull that off.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough in the beginning, like Bill said. Budget-wise, it was really rough. So Bill actually is supposed to go with me, but because of right after the Kickstarter, right after London 2012, I told Bill, I said, Bill, I think it would be a good idea. You can come and take to see where I came from. So if you're going to do the film, then it's better we can go back home, and then you can see how things are home there and where I actually came from. But then we plan everything. But then with the budget and also the logistical restriction in South Sudan, it became very, very difficult. Even myself too, I was very restricted to not go to certain area because of insecurity in the community, among the community. So that was very, very difficult. Mm-hmm. So we had to go around all of these issues. So Bill, and somehow with his all magic way of communication, was able to connect with people in South Sudan. And that is how we were able to film those footage within South Sudan, my reunion with my family, and also with a little bit of UN. And that was it. So it was challenging. It would have been very, very difficult had Bill didn't do such a thing, connecting to people on the ground over there. It would have been very, very difficult for him to even move around, because at the time we were at a high insecurity within the country.
Yeah.
So, but then within the U.S. here, Bill actually was the one all did everything to work. Hey, Guor, you want to meet to do some screening? Okay, yeah, we can do that. you know. But with connection and all of that, I think Bill has. I don't know. When I saw the film the first time, I was very, very shocked and pleased how he put all of this together, because it was very difficult. It's very challenging, logistically, financially. It was very funding was tough, but it worked out. So
Certainly did.
hopefully people are going to take it. Hopefully it's going to reach a lot of people, and people will learn from this story and be able to benefit from it.
Yeah,
just a note about South Sudan, if I can,
ahead.
Richard. So, I had my plane ticket to go film Guor purchased. I was waiting 5 days at the embassy in Belgium, the South Sudanese embassy, and they denied my visa. And it was so heartbreaking, because at that time, it was severe instability, as Guor mentioned. And I was like, that's it. I mean, my film is done, but we pivoted, which we often had to do with this film, and we ended up hiring a great, nice cinematographer, Jacob, who followed Guor to his village. And, it ended up working out maybe for the better, because he spoke Dinka. He was able to communicate with Guor's parents. I think there was probably, you can say, Guor, whether or not this is true, but there was some trust there. So something that turned out to be so frustrating for me, because this shoot was out of my control, ended up being, a nice way to connect with the South Sudanese film community, which I ended up relying on for the next 5 or 6 years for other shoots and things like that.
Yeah. So I think people will be wondering just about the story since the film, both for you, Guor, and South Sudan, and for the film. So maybe we'll just start. Guor, tell us a little bit about your life since the film.
Well, it's actually this film has revolved around our life pretty much for the last 8 years. So we kind of been going off and on as far running goes and all of that. Like you saw on in the footage, is since 2012. Then the next 4 years, I was pretty much with Bill constantly. We doing some footage here and there, but I was continuing with my running along the way. I went to Africa and I went to Kenya right after that, and I spent about 1 year there doing some training to get ready for the Olympics. And then came back to US and continue. I managed to go to 2016 Olympics, and after that, pretty much it's just been off and on with doing a documentary. And right in 2017, right after I came back from Olympics, I got a severe injury, and I had to find something to do, and also look at myself, how my journey and all of that. So I decided to say, hey, this is a great opportunity to pay back to the country, give me so much. So I'm gonna join to the Air Force and see what happened after that. So yes, 2017, and here I am now. I'm still in. Mm-hmm. And that's how my life kind of switched a little bit direction, but it's still the direction. I'm still in the same route. So that's.
Is there still involvement with South Sudan and the politics there?
Not so politics, but with athletes. That's what I'm involved with the most. I'm helping South Sudanese Federation to get themselves ready for the Olympics, to prepare the athletes, and also to build the federation to become a functional federation. Because after the war, everything was very difficult. It has been very difficult for the country. So there is not much organized athletic federation. So I'm trying my best, dividing my time from the military and all of that, doing a little bit here and there to try to help the athletes. in the same time to try to do a project, looking for a possible good project that I can do in my village to help the local people. As you might saw in the footage, the place is still the same as 40 years ago or so. There hasn't been any change. So that is also another project that I tag along with my work here to try to see, hopefully by next year, if all this coronavirus kind of settle down a little bit, the plan is to go back to the village and try to do a hospital and school and water. I have a cousin who lives in Australia. He already started the project. Actually, 2 weeks ago, he just sent me a nice footage, pictures of the hospital. It's a beautiful hospital. They put a roof on the top of it. Now they're just doing interior, all of this detail. So that is the kind of thing along the way that I would be doing from now until for the next couple of years to try to do the project.
Oh, thank you. So, Bill, we'll end with you. Just where the film is going from here, how people will be able to see it, if they want to spread the word.
Sure. So it's been, so far, we're sort of nearing our film festival circuit, the end of our film festival circuit. I think this is probably festival 14. We've done pretty well, 10 awards, 2 opening nights, 1 closing night. And so the people seem to be responding. So we're talking with distributors right now. So hope to get this out to a widest audience as possible. And definitely hoping to get this, especially in front of students and refugee organizations as well. So more details to come on that, but we hope to get this to as wide of a group of people as possible.
Well, thank you both for coming. Bill, could I just check with you during the day of the screening, if you could check in on our Facebook page. People are welcome to post questions and comments, and he will be interacting with you live then. Again, Guor, thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. It's really an honor to meet you, and you too, Bill. So thanks again for including your film in our festival.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having us. Thank you for accepting our documentary to be able to make it possible at this time to reach it to the audience, to your audience. I think this is amazing, especially now we are not used to the digital world. We've gone from in person to Peter and I looking at their faces. So it's amazing. We are very thankful, and thank you. And hopefully we meet in person one day.
I hope. Thank you. It would be wonderful. Thank you both.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.